Have you ever noticed a fascinating paradox? The moment you, as a woman, truly stop needing a man is the precise moment he finds himself inexplicably, deeply drawn to you. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's not about following dating rules or manipulation tactics. In fact, it's a biological signal that only gets transmitted when you stop playing the game entirely. The evolutionary psychologist David Buss, after studying attraction across dozens of cultures, identified that the signals for high mate value are incredibly complex. In a mature woman, these signals are different. They are more potent, and they are profoundly confusing to the primal male brain. We are going to explore the 5 habits that create this magnetic pull, but you must understand, the 5th and final habit is the one that activates an almost primitive response of fascination in a man, because it signals something that money cannot buy and youth can never, ever fake. Before we can understand these habits, we must first dismantle a lie. A toxic cultural narrative that has been whispered into the ears of women for generations. The myth that your desirability peaks at 25 and then enters a terminal decline. We believed this because we were bombarded. Decades of marketing sold us anti-aging creams as a desperate fight against invisibility. Fairy tales taught us that a woman's value was in being chosen by a prince, usually when she was young and naive. And a simplistic view of biology told us that fertility was our only currency in the marketplace of love. But I'm here to tell you that this is a profound misunderstanding of human nature. If you have ever felt like you were behind the curve, if you felt a quiet anxiety creep in as you look in the mirror, understand this: you were not fighting your biology, you were fighting a social script. The woman who feels this anxiety is not expired. She is on the verge of a metamorphosis. What society labels as jaded is actually discernment. What they misinterpret as coldness is the sacred protection of her peace. What looks like pride from the outside is the quiet, internal recognition of her own worth. Human attraction, as evolutionary psychology now reveals, is far more sophisticated than we were led to believe. Yes, men are wired to notice signs of youth and fertility. That is an ancient, undeniable program. But they are also programmed with an even deeper need, a need for stability, for intelligence, for a safe psychological environment in which they can not just survive, but truly thrive. These are the very qualities that maturity catalyzes. Your intuition that there was always more to the story was real. And that story begins not with changing yourself, but with understanding the powerful neurochemistry you already possess.
This is where the work of David Buss becomes so revealing. He talks about a concept called strategic interference, which is the degree to which one partner's goals, desires, and behaviors get in the way of the others. In youth, relationships are often high in strategic interference. There's drama, insecurity, constant negotiation of boundaries, constant need for validation. But the mature woman, the whole woman, operates from a different place. Her life is already rich. Her schedule is already full with things that matter to her. She isn't waiting by the phone for a text message to validate her existence. This radical self-sufficiency means she has incredibly low strategic interference. This is the rarest aphrodisiac in the modern world. From an evolutionary standpoint, a man's brain perceives this as a sign of supreme strength and confidence. She doesn't need him to complete her world. Therefore, if she chooses to let him in, that choice carries immense weight. It's a choice made from desire, not from need. The great therapist Esther Perel teaches that desire thrives in space, in mystery. The mature woman doesn't have to create mystery. Her full, independent life is the mystery. He finds himself asking, what makes her world so complete without me in it? I want to be a part of that. For a man, especially a younger man still navigating his own uncertainties, being in her presence feels both safe and thrilling. It's the feeling of being with someone who won't crumble if he makes a mistake, someone who is the harbor, not another boat lost at sea. She doesn't choose him to save her. She rescued herself long ago. And that changes everything. This state of being isn't something you can pretend to have. It is the natural outcome of cultivating specific internal habits. Habit 1. The sovereignty of personal space. The first, most fundamental habit is a shift in perception. It's when your time alone becomes sacred, not a synonym for loneliness. You stop trying to fill every empty moment. You no longer see a blank weekend in your calendar as a failure, but as a luxurious opportunity. An opportunity to read, to think, to create, to simply be. This isn't about being antisocial. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin, in your own company, that your solitude becomes a source of power. It recharges you. It's from this place of fullness that you engage with the world. A man feels this instantly. He senses that your presence with him is a deliberate choice, not a desperate escape from being alone. He has to be more interesting than your solitude. And for a man of substance, that is an irresistible challenge.
Habit 2. The anchor of emotional equanimity. The second habit flows from the first. She becomes the emotional anchor in the dynamic. She does not ride his waves of mood. She is the calm, deep ocean that allows his waves to pass. When he is stressed, she doesn't absorb his stress. She holds space for it. When he is uncertain, she doesn't rush to fix him. She trusts his capacity to find his own answers. This isn't detachment. It's a profound form of attachment security. As therapist Sue Johnson describes it, she becomes a secure base without even trying. Her nervous system calms his nervous system. Why is this so common in mature women? It's biology. This is the fully developed female brain. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for emotional regulation and long-term thinking, is in its prime, asserting dominance over the reactive youthful amygdala. You'll know you've embodied this habit when a subtle shift occurs. Men start confessing things to you. They tell you things they've never told anyone else. Not because you asked, but because their primal brain senses that your nervous system can handle their truth without breaking. Habit 3. The resistance to artificial urgency. The third habit is a quiet act of rebellion. It is the refusal to participate in the culture of urgency. She does not reply to texts in 30 seconds. Not because she's playing a game, but because she is genuinely present in her real life. She might be deep in conversation, lost in a project, or simply enjoying the sunset. Her phone is a tool, not a master. Now, her ancient biology might scream at her, "Reply, reply now. If you don't, he will lose interest and you will be cast out of the tribe." This is the ancestral fear of exclusion. It is a powerful, primal panic. But the woman who has done the work recognizes that voice and does not obey it. Ignoring this internal, manufactured urgency is the clearest sign that you have transcended the securing a partner phase of life and entered the selecting a partner phase.
the power has shifted. Helen Fisher, who has famously mapped the brain in love, talks about different brain systems. By not reacting with frantic urgency, the mature woman avoids flooding the dynamic with the anxiety hormone cortisol. Instead, her calm, measured pace gives the brain systems for deep, lasting attachment, fueled by oxytocin and vasopressin, the space they need to develop in him. He doesn't just feel a frantic crush. He feels a growing sense of profound connection and respect. Habit 4. The integration of a purpose-driven life. This is the turning point. The fourth habit is having a mission that is bigger than the relationship itself. This is when her work, her art, her community impact, or her personal growth becomes her primary source of dopamine, not the romance. You can see it in her eyes. She speaks about her projects with the same fire and light that a 20-year-old speaks about a new crush. Her life has a central animating purpose that existed before him and will exist after him. The new behavior that emerges from this is profound. She naturally fits him into her agenda. She does not rearrange her life for him. This is not a power play. It is a simple, logistical consequence of having a life rich with purpose. A man who is evolutionarily programmed to seek and overcome challenges sees this. Access to her time, her energy, and her mind is not a given. It feels like a prize to be earned. He realizes he must be worthy of entering the fascinating world she has already built for herself. He must add value to a life that is already valuable. And this brings us to the final habit, the one that integrates all the others. The one that bypasses a man's logical mind and speaks directly to his soul.
Habit 5. The magnetism of a witnessing presence. The fifth and most potent habit is the art of deep listening and potent silence. When she is with him, she is with him. She is not thinking about her grocery list or what she'll say next. She listens not to reply or to fix or to impress. She listens simply to understand. More powerfully, she becomes comfortable in the silences between words. He might be sharing something difficult, and when he finishes, he expects a rush of advice, judgment, or cliches. Instead, she holds his gaze. She lets the silence hang in the air for a beat. In that silence, something magical happens. He feels no pressure. He feels no judgment. He feels only seen. In that space she creates, he often finds his own answers. He feels safe enough to be truly vulnerable. The psychologist Arthur Aaron proved that intimacy is built not through time, but through escalating, reciprocal, vulnerable self-disclosure. The calm, non-judgmental, witnessing presence of this woman is the most powerful invitation for that vulnerability he will ever receive. She creates more intimacy in a single silent moment than others can create in months of conversation. This is why they lose their minds. It's because he feels seen, heard, and accepted on a level he has likely never experienced from a romantic partner. This is not a maternal dynamic. It is the dynamic of a wise witness. The sensation is so rare, so profound, and so addictive that it challenges his entire understanding of what attraction is. He thought he was drawn to youth, but he finds himself utterly captivated by wisdom, by presence, by a soul who has been to the underworld and back, and who carries the quiet strength of a survivor.
So how do you know if you are becoming this woman? It's not in the amount of attention you get. It's in the quality of your internal world. The first sign is that the validation you seek comes from your own self-respect for how you live your life, not from the attention you receive. The second sign is feedback from your environment. People, not just men, begin to describe you as calm, wise, or they say things like, "I just feel better after talking to you." And the most unmistakable sign is this: you feel a deep, profound detachment from the outcome. If he stays, your life is wonderful. If he goes, your life is also wonderful. Your peace is no longer negotiable. This, right here, is the ultimate mate choice power that David Buss described. It's the freedom to choose a partner from a place of wholeness, not from a place of lack. You begin to recognize and feel a deep connection to other women who embody this same energy, forming a silent, knowing sisterhood. You see her across a room and you recognize her power, because it is now your own. So remember the paradox we started with. The less she needed, the more he was drawn. It was never a strategy. It was the natural result of a woman who stopped looking for a man to complete her and instead focused on completing herself. The magnetic attraction was just a side effect of her own liberation. And so I ask you, what if that restlessness you sometimes feel, that sense of being behind, is not a problem to be solved? What if it is an ancestral calling, a sacred invitation from the wisest parts of your own soul to finally awaken the magnificent, whole woman you were always meant to become? If something in this message touched a truth you had forgotten, please share which habit resonated most deeply in the comments below. The greatest healing often comes from discovering we are not alone on this journey. And if you know a woman who needs to be reminded of her own quiet power, share this with her. Let's create a community where we see the wisdom in each other long after the world has told us to be invisible.